GMAT all day.
One way the GMAT test writers can take an easy or medium level overlapping set question and turn it into a hard one is, instead of giving you discrete numbers or all sort of algebraic expressions to put into your table, they can give you a range of numbers or an inequality. And so when they do that, when you translate what they give you into the table into the equations, you're going to be mixing and matching equations with inequalities, which normally you are not doing when you are making systems of equations. And so you have to think about them a little bit when setting up your table. Now, everything else, at least in my initial approach to them, is pretty much the same. It's sort of what you do after you fill out the table that requires a little bit of thinking. And so this question says, 1,000 people are attending a convention, 650 of them are fans of video games, and at least 400 of them are fans of comic books. If the number of attendees who are video game fans but not comic book fans is double the number of attendees who are comic book fans but not video game fans, what is the minimum number of attendees who must neither be fans of video games nor comic books? And so let's start out with what we are comfortable doing, which is just recognizing we have an overlapping set and writing out our headings for our table. So we got video game fans and comic book fans. So everyone at the convention either is a video gamer or is not a video game. And everyone is also either a comic book fan or not a comic book fan. So let's start filling in information. So we got 1,000 people at our convention. 1,000 people total. 650 of them are fans of video games. So 650 goes here, which means 350 are not fans of video games. Now it says at least 400 of them are fans of comic books. So how would we put that into our table? And it's very important that you're very precise here, because you can bet that you being off by just a single person will matter here. So knowing whether or not something is they're saying greater than or equal to versus just greater than is important here. And if you look at the answer choices, we have two sets of answer choices that are one away from each other, and that is probably why. And so at least 400 of them are fans of comic book fans. So what does that mean? That means your comic book fans are greater than or equal to 400. It is possible that you have the minimum number of comic book fans, which would be 400. The minimum is not 401, in other words. So if our comic book fans are greater than or equal to 400, what does that mean about our non-comic book fans? These have to be less than or equal to 600. If the number of attendees who are video game fans but not comic book fans, so that is here, is double the number of attendees who are comic book fans but not video game fans, so that's here. So if I call this guy here X, then this here must be double that, or 2X. What is the minimum number of attendees who must neither be fans of comic books nor video games? And so they're asking for the minimum number of people that could be in this box. And so let's think about how we want to do this. So to start, I would say I want to avoid dealing with my inequalities. I want to fill in the cells I have remaining with expressions of some sort just based on the discrete numbers I have. And so I can say here, I'm trying to minimize what this box is, but I can say that based on the values I have in this column here, this should be 350 minus X. And so if I'm trying to minimize this, what am I trying to do? I should be trying to maximize what X is. And so, and I could also say this box here should be 650 minus 2X. So now, if I want to try and figure out something about X, and I got to remember, I'm not trying to solve anything for X, I'm trying to minimize this cell here. But if I want to figure out something, because the key to doing that is still going to be figuring out something about X, what do I know? So going across here in this top row, I can say 650 minus X is greater than or equal to 400. So what is this telling me about X? So this would mean if I rearrange it, I would get this here. 250 is greater than or equal to X, or X is less than or equal to 250. What happens if I go across here now? This would be X plus 350. I'm going across this right here. X plus 350 is less than or equal to 600. that it's the same thing, right? X is less than or equal to 250. Okay, so if X is less than or equal to 250, I'm trying to minimize this box here, meaning I want to maximize what X is. That means I should set X equal to 250 because that is the maximum value X could be. And so 350 minus 250 is what, 100, right? Yes, so that should be our answer. B. Let's just check to make sure our table adds up. So if I put 100 here, this here is 250. So 650 minus 2x would be 650 minus 100. Or sorry, so 650 minus 500, which is just 150. This here would be 500. 2x, or 2 times 250. So this add up, 150 plus 500 is 650, 250 plus 100 is 350. This plus this just has to be greater than or equal to 400. So 150 plus 250 is equal to 400. That is greater than or equal to 400. And same here, 500 plus 100. All that matters is this just has to be less than or equal to 600. And so 600 is less than or equal to 600. Our bottom row here and our right column here both add up to 1,000. So this should work. And B is the answer. So that is it for overlapping sets. That's about as complicated as they can get. I will do one bonus video on 3 variable overlapping set questions. All of the overlapping set questions we've done so far have been 2 variables. 3 variable overlapping set questions are not hard as long as you know how to do them, but they are much less common than 2 variables. So that is why it's a bonus video. Know your 2 variable overlapping sets. You are far more likely to see 1 or 2 of those than you are a 3 variable overlapping set. But we'll do that in the next video.